Star.
Yeah, y'all already know. Seven the pan. That dude Fizz on the beat. Yeah. We live in entertainment. Sound change. Crown the kings, homie. This is where it get ill. About to have the tip off live as a tip drill. From the court to the diamond, to the track, to the big skin, flying round the field, starting five forever, keeping it real. If it matters in the world of sports, jeans and long sleeves, they taking no shorts. So hot to death, oh yes, these are the sports podcasts live as a pros course. Biz market wave, the starting five goes off. No matter who you cheer for, emotions out the window, they analyzing with clear thoughts. They take it way deeper than the boss ever. No longer got any use for the four letters. The latest news, score stats and a view from the sideline. Ain't no guideline, it's just the truth. Yeah, no need to dig for a pardon line. It's always in season if people starting five. We going in on three, run the baseline, starting five. Get it, we got what you need. If the sports news you see, we don't waste time. We talking cause we live it. We got what you need. We going in on three, run the baseline, starting five. Get it, we got what you need. And y'all know me, seven sign, I'm the illest cat stick. I got what you need.
Hi, that's how I'm saying hi to everybody who claims to support but ain't here. People talking a lot of shit nowadays. This your boy, the mayor, that DJ named Ace 5. Your mom's favorite fat guy, all the way from sunny Africa today. And we're back. I told y'all if y'all wanted to find me, I'm going to be here. But we'll get into how we're feeling in a minute. I've been pointing correctly recently, despite the ashy hands, to my
Yes, you have.
right.
Yes, you have. I've been noticing that. That's pretty good on your part. Getting the left and right down. What up, y'all? How y'all doing? As my partner said, on this sunny, crisp November day. Shout out to y'all. How y'all doing? Hope y'all having a good time getting ready for this holiday week coming up. Stuffing your faces, celebrating the emancipation of the American Indian.
Happy Smallpox Day.
And to the bottom of me, coming from the Lone Star State, making
Hello.
no, he's out there in Texas today, right? Am I right?
Yep. Yeah, that is correct. Brisket, gods, and guns, man.
Yeah, brisket.
What's good,
man?
What's good, man? I saw what you guys are gonna talk about this week. I can. It's like y'all sent the smoke signal of some sort. I can, I just smelled it in the air.
It was calling you.
It was. I couldn't help myself. I'm like, I hope I don't get myself in trouble or burn more bridges than I've already burnt in life. So, but I had to jump on, so I had to vent.
Hey, you burn bridges.
It's the weekend. It's the weekend of venting. So
there you go. You burn bridges to light the path before you, brother.
Hey.
Yeah, I've repaired some of those bridges over the years, but the thing about bridge burning is you got to accept to pay the price. I say that as someone who has had to repair bridges professionally at some point in my life. When you're in your 20s, a hothead, you think, hey man, I'll figure it out. And then as you get older, you're like, oh, you remember
you figured
that.
It out.
Oh, no, it's not even figured it out. It's like, oh, you heard about that. Oh no, that wasn't meant for you. Yeah.
And you know what that walks me into, Ed, because we could talk about this briefly, being the wrestling heads that we are. Bridge burning by way of sending shots at people in other companies or sending shots at other companies from the quote unquote biggest. We can't even call them a wrestling company because they don't even call their wrestlers no more. They're called superstars. But there are people now out on their ass, unfortunately, due to more cuts from the WWE And again, it was bridge burning. Like we could think of Adam Shear, aka Braun Strowman. Like he sent a lot of shots at a lot of people at one time, but I don't wish bad on him. Like I want to see him get on his feet. We just seen the brother Top Dollar from Hit Row talking shit about, oh, we cutting promos and yada yada yada, real promos and this, that, and the third. The whole Hit Row gets cut. So many other people get cut, yet there's plenty of people who still have yet to get cut, Ed. But bridge
Can
burning.
I can I
Bridge
ask you a
burning.
real quick question about that? Is the WWE like hemorrhaging cash? Why are they cutting all these people all the time?
They
What?
are
So
they are go ahead, Ed.
So there's rumors circulating, and you can take it with a grain of salt. It might be up for sale soon, WWE. So that's one thing, is that it may be up for sale. So with any corporate entity that's up for sale, you got to cut the dead weight. You got
You got, yeah, you got to
or float it.
sell off your
Number
losses. Yeah,
number two, even though they said they weren't keeping an eye on All Elite Wrestling, they obviously kept an eye on All Elite Wrestling because every hot independent talent, WWE just made them an offer they couldn't refuse, and then you ended up with a bloated roster. In playing keep away, they kind of hurt their bottom line a little bit. The pandemic did not help in that sense. You know, they started playing keep away, pandemic comes, and that changed everything for everyone. And
mm,
so a combination of bloated contracts and trying to play keep away has caused these massive cuts, if you will.
okay.
Um,
I've never seen
and,
anything like that in that type of
Yeah.
industry.
not
It was just,
not to the scale, not to the scale. Free agent, and that's the thing. I think we have a generation of wrestling fans that, you know, there was that 20-year stretch where it was, as Dan had mentioned, there was only WWE and that was it. You had Ring of
right,
Honor, you had Impact, but the big money, the big league, the gold standard, if you will, was WWE. It wasn't like that in the Attitude Era, the beloved Attitude Era, that everyone loves, because you had ECW, who maybe they were hemorrhaging money on the low, but they were throwing money at people. You had
right,
Ted Turner and WCW, and even before that, you had the territories. You know, you had the
right.
USWA, you had the Tennessee territory and the
Yeah,
Florida
all the
territory.
satellites. They had a bunch of satellites back there. Yeah,
So it's and this goes to the toxicity of, which it's related to the topic, to the toxicity of talk radio and podcast and embrace debate. We have a generation of people that aren't used to wrestling having free agency, and
mm,
for us older, so they're like, so you have people that are like, I'm brand loyal to WWE and I'm brand loyal to AEW, and I always say I'm a wrestling fan. I'm not an AEW fan. I'm not a WWE fan. I'm a wrestling fan.
mm,
But the thing is, if you don't like WWE, if you don't like Disney, there are other, or you don't like Marvel Comics, there are now other entities. AEW. I think Impact Wrestling has been doing some great stuff over the last couple of years. Ring of Honor, unfortunately, is not in the picture anymore. They've decided to go more of a GCW indie route, but New Japan is trying to re-expand back into the US after the hotness of the Bullet Club. I think they're doing some cool things on the horizon. And so you're seeing entities now that pick up some of this talent. Now, obviously, there's everything caps off at some point. You know, not everyone's going to be able to
right.
pick up. But to Dan's point about bridge burning, you know, a guy like Braun Strowman came through the WWE system. He never had to do the indie stuff. I don't know about Top Dollar. I can't speak on him, but someone like him probably shouldn't have crapped on so many indie guys when they were indie guys, because you don't know how
Mm,
which goes back to the bridge burning, because now he's kind of priced himself out. People are like, well, why do I want to work with this WWE guy? You know,
Right.
I think Braun Strowman would be perfect for Impact Wrestling. I have a lot of matchups off the top of my head where I'm like, you know, that's entertaining, you know.
mm-hmm.
But you don't know who he pissed off. I've heard Karrion Kross, aka Killer Cross, is a bit of a bridge burner. Now, what's his situation going to be like now? Although he's so talented, in
He'll
the eyes
find
of
a
many,
way.
he'll find someone will pick him up. Talent, cream
Right.
still rises to the top. If you're, if,
Indeed.
and this is any sport, if you're good at what you do, people will put up with you, no matter what, until you stop generating
Unfortunately.
revenue. Until you stop
Unfortunately.
generating revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I wish the best for these people who just got cut because, I mean, like it's crazy. Like the whole Hit Row team just signed a new contract. I mean, not the whole Hero team, B-Fab especially, specifically, just signed a new contract. They all got called up. That's where the talking shit about others being called up and stuff came into play via a tweet. And then a week, 2 weeks later, bye-bye. You know what I'm saying? But then I really feel bad for them specifically because after listening to this national Sirius radio uh, wrestling show that gets turned into a podcast, I listened to their interview on there. The company themselves wasn't doing shit with them behind the scenes and or was giving them leeways in certain things. They were doing it, but then questioning why they were doing it. They were doing certain things like writing, like they changed the song or something here and there. Everybody liked it. Then they canned it. They were getting like 30 seconds to do little things here and there, and they would can it or shorten whatever they had to do. Like, so they were kind of getting shit on to the point of you're out the door. But then when you mentioned like the overinflated roster, they said it was over now probably around 130 something people between 2020 till now that has been released from the WWE because
Wow.
they were signing people just to keep them away from the hot new company that was on television.
Wow.
They didn't admit it. They didn't admit it, but everybody who follows professional wrestling sports entertainment saw that clear as day. And a lot of people, I think, in my opinion, a lot of those people took that shit for granted. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them took that for granted, like, oh, I made it, I'm here, I'm signed, I should be here forever, I'm gonna have a nice long career. Meanwhile, yes, a lot of them were getting paid their downside guarantees just to sit home, just because they didn't want to see them on somebody else's airwaves.
To your point, you know, someone like Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, a big part of generating revenue is selling merch. A lot like a band, you have to, you know, the real money's in the merch. If I go to WWE shows all the time when they're in the New York City area, and you know, Fiend merchandise, you would see little kids with the dolls. You would see little kids with the masks. You would see little kids with the gloves that said love and hate, whatever. I think it was love, pain and love, or whatever it was. And so even when you were generating revenue, you know, if your contract was bloated, like in the Fiend's case, some say he was difficult. That's subjective. As someone who's been called difficult in the past, I don't know what that is. Like, you know, like in the sense, you know, being difficult could be speaking up for yourself. And
But
the Fiend, Bray Wyatt is someone who is very into his art and his craft of what he's doing, and I can see him being quote unquote difficult. But even him generating all that money.
On that point, real quick, Ed, of the difficult part, that can be just BS that they throw out there after the fact because they don't want to see your vision or they don't want to do what you are requesting to do. He probably could have been one of the easiest and best people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's shit like that. It's semantics sometimes. It's wordplay.
And sometimes both can be true. Maybe Charlotte Flair is, because it seems like she may be out the door soon. Maybe Charlotte Flair is difficult, but she also seems like the type of woman who's not going to take your crap either. And if you're going to mess with her role or her position in the company, she's a Flair. She's going to bite back. And so it's subjective.
Especially when you've been telling her she is the greatest. And let's keep it real with that word there. She just might be the single greatest woman wrestler out today. Like as far as ability, technical ability, how smooth she works in the ring, everything above. It's just the way the WWE portrays her is that her character just feels dry. And it's that old feeling of with Roman, where they felt like the WWE was jamming them down our throats. You know what I'm saying? Like they gave those vibes, and the people hated that. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, you become difficult. You become hard to work with. You become a backstage cancer. Well, y'all fed this ego into that. And now y'all are mad that we are acting like that when we just might have earned that right. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many legends would be quote unquote perceived as difficult hard to work with nowadays, Ed. If you know what I'm saying, like most of them. I was
Imagine Roddy Piper now.
Roddy Piper was like that neutral anti-hero. Now he would excel, especially because his mic skills would crush any of these cats that are out to that are out here. Right or wrong, Ed. Right or wrong.
Absolutely, he would thrive in today's era. But look at someone like Hulk. Look at someone with Hulk Hogan, where Ted Turner gave him complete creative control. So Hulk Hogan wasn't going to job unless Hulk Hogan wanted a job, and
Right.
so this is normal in the business when you feed somebody's ego, and it's any business. Look, Randy Moss had a huge ego. I love Randy Moss. But when you're being told you're great at an early age, LeBron James was being called a king at the age of 15. Do you know how gassed my head would be if at 15
Yeah.
you're calling me king? Oh my God, I'd be the biggest prick on the planet. Just I was not a good, like, oh man, I was an arrogant nobody. Could you imagine me as a somebody? Good Lord.
Hey, people
One
learn the
last-
hard way. People learn
one
the
last
hard
thing-
way.
One last thing on the WWE. Did you see the Big E walk out Sean Porter last night
No,
with
but
Rhapsody in the
I'm
intro
loving
walk?
I'm loving this man's
I thought
success
that was
because
dope.
I'm loving his
Go ahead.
success because a lot of people were saying this New Day thing. I was one of those people saying, I don't know about this New Day thing, like positive power of positivity, and I realized it was a different version of straight edge in a lot of ways, power of positivity. But it was, look, they stayed themselves. They stuck to their guns. Again, they were quote unquote difficult, but they stuck to their guns and they made it. Big E's now on ESPN walking out Porter, and he was on ESPN Plus for the MSG fight. He was doing the montages, the vignettes for that.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
I love, yeah, for
That's dope.
the last MSG fight, and so I love the success, especially a person of color in this business that in the past has had issues. I love watching his success and him being that he's crossing over and doing the Sean Porter fight. Man, that's awesome for him. I
That was
love to see that.
huge. That was huge because if people
Talk
didn't know
about,
who he was, they know
they
who he
do
is now.
now.
I mean, yeah, that was really huge. I mean,
It gives my broken soul a little faith that maybe there is power in positivity. Like I've always say I'm a broken soul, but like seeing his success, I'm like, you know what? That gives me a light of hope that there's positive people out there that are actually rising to the top. So
and the
you
announcers
know
gave
what
him
it
a big
is.
shout out too.
yeah,
You know what it is though. It's people like them though Ed. We're familiar with the grind that he put in from being before the New Day, being like the bodyguard for what's his name?
Jay,
Huh?
Dolph Ziggler
Yeah,
and
Dolph
AJ Lee.
Ziggler. Yeah. When he was Big E Langston and all of that. But this is when you mentioned, did I see? This is what I thought you might have been talking about, TJ. Can y'all hear it?
No.
No. Oh,
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Can y'all hear it?
No.
No.
I can't hear it, but
okay.
I wasn't expecting
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Let me fix that for you. Let me fix that. But let me try to find how to fix that real quick. But yeah, if you're on TikTok and y'all know about this cat who, it's a sandwich shop in Brooklyn. It's a sandwich shop in Brooklyn that well no, it's a bodega in Brooklyn.
Bodega in Brooklyn. The
Yeah,
Bodega TikTok.
Yeah, and it's everything he quote unquote makes is done the Aki way, and the shit that he puts together uh for him. I'm trying to pull it up. Let me get the guy's TikTok exactly. So okay, all right, because I gotta show this. I got it, General Ak. Yeah, the way that this dude be putting shit together, sandwiches, shit like that. Like, first off, we gotta find a way to get to this damn store. But it's this shout outs to Rob Money One. This is the TikTok.
Help you today.
And this is the type of shit that Big E is doing out here nowadays.
But you know, I gotta stop in to get that Big E special, the Aki way with the side
Of Bootios.
of Bootios.
First, 3 burgers on the grill. Then we put the bacon on top of the grill. Once we put butter on the bread, now we put it on the grill. Now we put the cheese on top of the bread.
This sandwich is fucking ridiculous, but now I
we
want it.
Chop it up. Now we season it up. Now we put the bootios on the bread. Once everything is ready, now we put everything together.
Look at all that shit.
That's a heart attack,
Once
bro.
everything's ready, now we put it on top of the paper.
But see, a nigga that works out like that, they eat. You
That's
gotta
good. Yeah,
eat
that's
that
nothing.
bit. Look at him. Look at him.
Now we wrap it up. And the result
This shit looks
is
good though.
OMG.
Never, never, never.
Yes, WWE.
Yeah,
Yo,
man.
that was dope. That was
it's
dope.
great. It's great to see a person like that fucking succeeding and winning. I mean, just the whole New Day overall, because to know these guys grind from the beginning, and with shout out to Xavier, who, if you're paying attention, he's been going through it with the WWE, where we haven't seen no up, down, downs and stuff like that, because there's just another rabbit hole conversation. But he's a dude that we've seen outside of their system. Kofi is not a dude that we've seen outside of their system. E is not a dude that we've seen outside of their system, other than their quote unquote farm system of OVW, Florida Championship, then coming up. Like, that's still all WWE. You know what I'm saying? So, but to see the grind and all this shit that these cats, everything that these cats get, they deserve. They deserve because they.
I go back to Big E when he was the first. People forget he's one of the first NXT champions. Like when NXT was nothing, when it wasn't the brand it is now. But like you said, it really was a gimmick that really was not really landing well with fans, and then it just through the slow grind, it just got over and over to the point of like, if they ever split up New Day, I'll be so heartbroken. Like I really would.
It sounds like the key was they stuck with it. You know what I'm saying? They stuck with it when it was at its bottom, and they grind through that. They persevered through that, and now it is where it is today. So,
but it took WWE convincing, because that's one of them things that you got to remember. You can try to keep a gimmick all you want. And Ed mentioned the name Karrion Kross a little while ago. He had what people perceived as one of the greatest entrances to the ring in NXT. They brought him to the main roster. They put him in like a fucking gimp outfit. Like a real bootleg high school movie set costume.
Gladiator,
fake gladiator costume. Keith Lee, who's the other person they just released. This guy had the potential to be one of the single greatest on a main roster spot. But if you paid attention to his climb up and grind upward, he also put in copyright claims on his name. Smart business move. WWE clearly didn't like that because they need a piece of everything. And so they gave the name change to Bearcat, which they tried to play it off to us as, it was paying homage to a wrestler named Bearcat Wright. We knew it was, those who understand, we knew it wasn't an homage to Bearcat Wright. This was a WWE can own the name move. And yet he still did the job. But also, too, they sent, besides his health issues and things like that, they sent them away off TV for a little while to learn the main roster big man style. Because Keith Lee is a 6'3", 300-something pound dude who can do damn near lucha moves. But they don't like that. They don't like that.
Picture the mayor doing a moonsault. That's what it was. I'm not joking.
In my head.
Am I
You're right.
lying? Like I'm talking like a beautiful like Charlotte
Clean.
Flair
Perfect.
type of moonsault. Yes, it
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't no. It
No
wasn't no Humpty
sloppiness.
Dumpty. No, no.
Help, you gonna
Yeah.
help me up to get this off type deal. Nah, he was
Nah,
doing it
none of that.
clean.
It was light work for him. And
Wow.
it's I you know what? We're not doing games of the week because this conversation here was dope enough. This is very organic conversation, but this was the thing of it was a if it ain't in their vision, shit don't fly. But when we were talking we started off with the burning bridges talk.
Hmm.
It's the wrestlers themselves who were caping because they were on the big time, talking wild shit here and there on TikTok, on Twitter, places like Instagram, shit like that. And now you're out on your ass. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, the indie scene right now is as fruitful as it is because these people will be able to get bookings somewhere. You know what I'm
At
saying?
least
They
there's
will
work
be
for
able to
them.
get bookings.
At least there's work for them.
There's plenty of work out there. But thinking of like a Tessa Blanchard, Ed, I don't think she deserves to work anywhere. But you want to talk about the Burn Bridges queen? Like,
She's been on this tour of repairing those bridges. I saw on her Instagram that she was at Sasha Banks. I think Sasha Banks has like a wrestling school. I saw she was with Thunder Rosa's school for a while. And the thing is, she has friends in the industry. Now, I guess it's one of those things about forgiveness. I don't know how that works sometimes. I don't know how someone in her situation transitions back. Again, she's so gifted and talented. She's on that Charlotte Flair level. There's a reason that Impact Wrestling made her not the Knockouts champion. They made her the heavyweight champion, beating Brian Cage. Brian Cage is slightly smaller than Brock Lesnar, and they had her beating Brian Cage for their heavyweight title. That's how highly they thought of Tessa Blanchard. But she was disrespectful to a lot of the women of color in locker rooms. It was a Puerto Rican wrestler in particular. I forgot her name. La Rosa Negra might have been, and I apologize for butchering that. But she was really, really, I mean, racist. That's pretty much the accusation. And so
Wow.
it's interesting that Jeannie Buss, who runs Women of Wrestling, this indie women's wrestling organization out in Los Angeles, it's based out of Los Angeles. It's very interesting that Jeannie Buss, you know, the owner of the Lakers, who owns this company, is giving her a second chance. Now it's within the Buss brand. Let's remember, Dr. Jerry Buss gave Ron Artest a chance when nobody would touch him. Nobody wanted anything to do with Artest.
made him a champion.
Yep. And so it is the Buss brand, like the Steinbrenner brands. The Steinbrenners were big on giving people with addictions issues a second chance, whether it was Billy Martin,
Strawberry Doc.
Doc Gooden. I'm missing Howe. There was this white guy that was big cokehead.
Giambi?
Howe. No,
Oh.
it was Howe. But yeah, he
Okay.
gave Giambi a chance when nobody would, like, you know, with the steroid thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how she repairs those bridges. It seems like there's got to be humility. There's got to be acceptance of what you did wrong. There's got to be, you know, the bridges I've repaired in my life. I had to eat the L. So I was in the wrong, or I approached things the wrong way, like a hothead. And so, you know, I have to humble myself to fix those bridges. I'm not in a situation that Tessa is, nor do I wish that on anybody, because I don't know how you come back from that. Tessa used to be one of my favorite wrestlers, and now I don't know how I feel about her.
Right.
Like, maybe I'll watch her, maybe I won't. I don't know. I until it's there, I don't know. But you know, it's you got to humble yourself if you're gonna repair those bridges. She seems to be doing the work. I don't know. Outwardly, it comes off that way, but you know, it's one of those things to. I think having Jeannie Buss behind her is a huge, huge plus for her.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. But that's dope. That's dope. Good for. I mean, hey, good for her. Like, I Yeah, it's crazy how when just thinking about her name and people were passing that type of notion down on her father, saying that her father was just like the same way and things like
I've
that.
heard
And
that too.
there's I mean, it's hard with Tully because we came up watching him, but we also got to remember where he came up. This is in the old deep South where that was the thing. They would, one of my favorites all time, Arn Anderson would be caught in promos calling people boy and this and that and stuff like that. But when you listen to Arn Anderson talk nowadays, he's always had love for, especially thinking about like all the black wrestlers and things like that. Like a cat, like, and we never hear these stories about Tully because Tully's things were different. Like when he disappeared from TV for a little while or disappeared from the game because it seemed like he too burnt bridges, but not in the racial manner that we hear his daughter has. So excuse me, interesting that we bring this burn bridges thing up by way of professional wrestling, but
Hmm.
this shit is it's crazy like that. And I know part of the reason why recent terms, if y'all saw my posts, I had to step away from Facebook because like I was I've made the post before, like I was close to making a real heel turn on people. Y'all know what heels are. And I had to step away from Facebook because that's generally not in my character, but I'm petty enough that it is in a way. But I don't let that side of me come out because it just don't feel like it's the real me. You know what I'm saying? And I had to step away because I personally wasn't doing right up here. I'm still getting better. I'm working on finally getting myself to a therapist to to quell some of these things and try to find answers to make myself better, but to prevent this heel turn because there are bridges for me. I think there are some bridges. There's one in particular I'm thinking of, but there are some bridges that need to be burned on my side. But I try to never burn bridges because you never know where those bridges could lead. But some of those bridges, are pure bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of those bridges are the ones that like I need to try to learn how to recognize and just cut off at the pass because they're not going anywhere. You know what I'm
And I
saying?
think
They're not going
I,
anywhere.
this comes with wisdom. I'm 45. I was arrogant hothead. As I mentioned earlier, arrogant nobody hothead at 18 to about 30. But I think there's a difference between burning a bridge and just stepping away from toxicity or people that are bringing you down. That's not burning a bridge. That's looking out for yourself. And there's positive ways to do that without having to napalm the whole village. You know what I mean? And it's not something that we learn till we get much older, to be honest. It's one of those like, is this worth it? As you get older and your energies decrease, low T, I guess. I don't know what it is. But,
Nah,
but no, the
we
thing
still
is,
get up over here. We still get up over here.
get that eugenics.
Oh, become the big hurt. Become the big hurt.
My point is that you realize as you get older you only got X amount of energy. I've learned, a good friend of mine taught me this: the opposite of love is not hate but indifference. When you don't care whether something lives or dies, they're truly out of your life. And because hate takes energy, and I say that as someone who is a natural born hater. I came out the womb hating on things. Probably why I like running my mouth doing podcast stuff, but I love hating on things. But hate takes energy. It really, really does. So now,
A
if I'm
lot
gonna
of
hate,
energy.
if I'm gonna hate something, like say Stephen A. Smith, I am going to accept that I'm gonna use a piece of my energy on that. Whereas I'll ignore the other stuff that I'm just like, and even that, like I say that playfully because hate does take energy. It takes away so much from you. So I think, to your point, there's burning bridges and there's just walking away for your own sanity. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I think the therapy thing is great. I know people that have done it. I've done it a couple of times myself. I don't mind admitting that, but it helps with the anger issues. I mean, I think we saw that this week with the verdict.
Which
As
is
male
right what we're
minorities,
going into. This
with
is
with as male minorities, we're full of rage because we have to bottle it up because if people got treated the way sometimes minorities get treated, they would explode. I mean, look at what happened January 6th. January 6th is a good example of that. Um, I saw a meme going around that rage is a luxury for white people, and I'm starting to like believe that. Like, holy crap! Like,
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
you know, rage. Yeah.
That is how I know you. Every night in my dreams, I see you.
No need for the music anymore. I don't want to get no strikes. But yeah, I'm glad you swung it. I'm glad you swung it this way, Ed, because this is where we need to go. And you want to talk about people, and if you see the picture, the face of the judge and Rittenhouse in there, like y'all know what happened. This young joker driven across state lines by his mother, who the world claims is 38 years old, but looked like 58 years old,
Ooh,
looking like the woman from Throw Mama from the Train, right? Freaking drove her son across state lines at the age of 17 years old with a freaking assault rifle to quote unquote protect property in a state that you don't even live in. You're not even on these people's payrolls. But that's the alleged word of protect property, aka, let's keep it real, protect whiteness. Because it's not that many people identify with their cultures. Once you become white, like you're white, you're become a part of a mass collective. You're not just of a culture, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why like white they say whiteness is like a it's not it's just a it's not real. It's not real. Is whiteness is not real because we all come from different cultural backgrounds. That's why I don't say race really anymore. It's culture, and people hate that. Even people that look like me hate when you don't call it race anymore because it's not race. That's what we've been taught for years and for fucking decades and centuries. Race, no, it's cultural backgrounds. We all come from different cultural backgrounds, but the race thing got all lumped together once white became a thing. You know what I'm saying? And this kid, in some people's eyes, went out there to protect white supremacy. That's what some people see it.
my
Some
thing
people
is,
see it. Hold on, yeah,
go ahead,
go
go ahead.
ahead, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
No,
No. Go finish.
no, my bad. I was like, some people perceive this as a protection of white supremacy. Some people perceive this as just an asshole. Like you're going out there to go to do what with that gun? When you're running out the house with a gun like that, what are you really going to protect? When you are not on a payroll as a security guard, as a police officer, what are you protecting? And the way this whole case was being played out, first off, shout outs to Seuss to Connect because he was saying this on the open on the Owner's Box podcast. Like, can us people of the public go and try to research how we can get this judge disbarred? Because
Word.
the way he set the table on all of this was atrocious. I mean, as soon as we heard his little soliloquy about how you can't call them what was it,
Victims. You can't
rioters
call
or
them victim.
victims. You can't
You
call
can't
them
call them
victims,
victim.
but you
You
could
can
call
call
them
them rioters and
protesters.
looters.
Yeah, you could call them rioters and looters, but you can't call them victims. That was
I
just the
don't.
setting of the table of this is gonna get swept right over.
The fix
I
was
mean
in.
the fix was beyond in. The fix was beyond in, and the fake tears from this kid, the nonsense, the irony though, and I'm not gonna say who said it, but it was funny to me when I said, you know what? I was like, yo, it's real funny how a lot of our people weren't. Well, I mean, we're upset, but we weren't really up in arms about this case Which again, if you think about it, this was white
Well,
people out there making noise for us. You know what I'm saying? For our people. They were out there.
well,
But person told me, he said, this is white people's problems. This ain't ours. And I
that's
laughed
what I
at
was.
it.
That's what I was
I
getting
laughed
to,
at it.
because this wasn't a person of color or a minority or anybody that he shot. He shot other white folks. So this was basically a white on white crime here. And I'm saying, where the upset? Why are more white people upset in arms for them? For the actions that were taken against them. Like, where's your protest? Where's your rally? But
Usually the
none of that.
system usually the
None of that
system works in
appeared.
their favor.
Oh, it did work in his favor, in Rittenhouse's favor, and they seen the right. They saw how justice was done to them, like it gets done to us all the time, and that's not a position that they're familiar with, unless it was like the OJ case or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're finally seeing. I don't know if they got it, but they're finally seeing how we get treated throughout the justice system historically. Like, this is a systemic thing that happens day in and day out to this day. So for them to get a glimpse of what we as minorities and people of color go through with the court system, this is what it is. And like
And
you
that's
said, the judge set the table. The judge sets the table in all our cases. The prosecutor knows the judge knows the prosecutor, the cops know the judge, the bailiffs, everybody knows each other behind the scenes, and they're all cool and shit. So this just goes into plays into your demise before you even get to trial.
yeah. Yeah. And this whole thing was just crazy, but I got the picture of what he was being charged with. I want y'all to go in on this. I got to step to the side real quick, but y'all, I want y'all to go in on this whole thing.
So with me, that first degree intentional homicide, it's such a hard case to prove. I'm not a lawyer by any stretch,
Right.
but I know at first degree you gotta do intent, you gotta do mental state.
It's so much
There's
to
just so much.
prove. It's so much to prove. Yeah, it's too much to prove.
It's like you're shooting a half court 3-pointer.
Right.
Unless your evidence is so good that you're like, okay, I don't understand. He bought a gun illegally, apparently, and even that got dismissed. And that to me is one of the things where I'm like, yikes, this fixes really in.
Yeah,
Because
when he wiped
go
that
ahead.
charge of a minor holding a weapon, I was like, well, I mean, I think they piled on all these charges to throw it against the wall to see what would stick. And the main one that they thought they would probably get him on, the judge was like, nah, we're not. That's good. We're wiping that completely off the table. They were screwed after that point because there was so much to prove on the rest of these charges that they didn't have a leg to stand on in the first place.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what the law is in that particular state, but they couldn't put a second degree in there somewhere, just a lower threshold
I
to
think they
get
would have
him
been
on.
better off with like a manslaughter charge instead of like the
Yeah,
homicide charge. Yeah, they were going for the home run when they should have just been like, we'll be good if we get a double here, and get them like maybe 3 to 5 years instead of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going for the whole boat. But like,
but
I'm like you, I'm no legal expert on this, so.
I mean, my degree is in Law and Order, that the TV show. That's it. Dun, dun, that's it. So please don't sue me. Take it with a grain of salt. I haven't passed. The only bar I know about is a candy bar. I don't know about bar exams. So, but again, it's just, to me, the charge that bothered me the most. It's not the biggest charge of them all, but the illegally buying guns. I mean, I'm pro Second Amendment to a degree, and I'm not just saying that because I'm Texas. I do believe in certain parts of the country where there is no, where the cop is 15, 20 miles away, you should have the right to protect yourself and own the ranch. I think it should vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But that
Right.
said, it just seems like this guy broke the law of being a minor with I don't know what kind of assault rifle. Like, I'm not gonna pretend like I know
So it was
about,
an
I'm an
AR-15.
NRA guy. It was an AR-15, which from what my friends that play Call of Duty, that's intent to kill. Like, again, the caliber of gun.
He had to refer to
The
Call of Duty. That's hilarious.
but like the caliber of gun, the buying it illegally. It's like this is why we need better gun control. We don't, maybe not to eliminate guns, because again, I'm second degree to a point, but like this guy seemed like he broke every gun law possible, and they still got away with murder.
Well, it's the
Like,
charges because
I mean,
like it says intentional homicide, like intentional homicide, reckless homicide. I could see maybe that, but you can't deny the fact that the guy was being attacked when he shot them. So intentional homicide is going to be like, there has to be a motive that he went over there to shoot somebody and kill them, instead of manslaughter, what I think would be best in this, where he was defending himself and he shot the people who were trying to endanger him. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, I think they went about it the wrong way in terms of lumping all these charges against him, and they painted themselves in a corner in terms of, if they don't get these charges, they have nothing else to fall back on.
Well, I don't think that's again. It all falls back to the judge too, though, because you could say
The judge set the table, like you said. Yeah,
you say paint them to a corner, but yet the judge told them what they can and can't say. Yeah, we got to think about the prosecutor and all of that, and what they were going for. They kind of were going for it all, if you want to say. You know what I'm saying? They kind of were going for it all.
And one other thing, and I don't mean to make light of what is a very, very serious topic, but who brings their mama to a drive-by? Like, that's just like I'm still stunned. Like, how do you tell mom, hey, mom, I'm grabbing the AR-15 or the AK, whatever it was. I'm gonna go defend somebody else's Home Depot across state lines. Like, what?
She was like,
yeah. How do you say,
go get him,
mom?
baby?
Can you?
She was like, go get him, baby. Go get him, baby. Do it. Go out there and protect that warehouse.
Like, she did that. She did that like it was a travel team or some shit. Like, I gotta go score. I gotta go score goals in Minnesota. Like,
this isn't an AAU travel, traveling team. This isn't. I'm like, I've heard of moms take you to the prom, but moms take you to the shootout. Like, oof, like, everything about this case, I watched to inform myself, but I couldn't deep dive, because it's like, again, I only got so much energy left in my life that I not that I don't want to pay mine or not pay attention, but I knew it was gonna mess with my mentals. Like, I just
exactly.
I was, and back to that broken soul thing. I'm like, I already know how this is gonna go down. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a shame that a lot of us are used to this, where it's like there's no anger. I mean, there's anger, but again, that rage seems to be a luxury that this kid can have, but others can't.
SOP, standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Just the one difference, as we mentioned, is again not the cultural differences, and white people now get to see the same quote unquote injustice that our people see. But the majority, like, I had people that I work with, I made a joke, a Rittenhouse joke at work the other day, and he said, somebody said, oh, you mean kid who went out there and just got acquitted for self-defense? And I was just, and then he immediately went into, well, people are trying to make this racial. It's not a racial thing. I said, hold on, chill out. I never mentioned nothing about race. The man still went out there and killed people for what? Oh, because somebody pointed a gun at him after he killed 2 people? But it was about self-defense? Oh, well, somebody hit him with a skateboard, so he deserves to get shot? Niggas ain't got knuckle games? No, actually, yeah. No. Niggas don't have knuckle games no more.
No, they don't.
They don't.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Yeah, they will get washed.
Exactly.
And to your point about self-defense, how subjective it is.
Yes.
It's self-defense when you cross state lines with a ratchet to go looking for smoke, and then you got the smoke. but that's self-defense. He went looking, he inhaled all that smoke. Like, But when Trayvon is trying to defend himself from a rent-a-cop, not even a real cop, a mall, what's essentially a degree higher than a mall cop, that all of a sudden self-defense. Well, Zimmerman or whatever his name was, he had to defend him. No, it's this pattern of self-defense means looking for smoke, inhaling all that smoke, and then when you choke on it, you get a pass. I think that's the part where I get fired up and why I had to kind of step back, because it's like the right to defend myself. Well, if I step out of my house with a ratchet pointing it in the air, there's a good chance I'm going to find smoke. That kid crossed state lines. He had his mama drive him state lines to look for smoke, and he found it. And I guess he was arrogant enough to feel that he would be acquitted, which he was. That he's pretty much blew the smoke back in our face. What it feels like.
Yeah, like I'm putting this back up again. YouTube commenter name I don't understand. It looks like Hebrew writing, kind of. But I want to see where this connects with what this we're talking about. European basketball fans are crazy in Europe, throwing flares of smoke, which really, this is European football, not really more basketball. But
I've seen it in basketball games. No, it happens.
Oh yeah, oh really?
Yeah, I heard basketball games get crazy.
Serbian games. The Joker brothers be flares up in the
air. But let me finish. It says never stopping to cheer loudly, cursing, going beating with the crowd from the rival team. Sometimes it was a little misspelled there and miswritten, but I understand it. I guess that person is trying to correlate it as, say, Rittenhouse was going to be one of those fans of a rival team to go out there to just start shit.
Was it like what they call them in football? Hooligans, where they just
go
out there?
Yes.
They go out there.
Ultras and hooligans, yes.
Hooligans, right? And they go out there and they just start smashing fans before they even get in the stadium type shit, right? They just start bum rushing people.
I remember seeing like a Vice special about like the quote unquote hooligans like that. I think in like Ireland and shit, where there was like
a movie about it.
There was a whole club of people who like their intentions were to look for said smoke that day of the game.
So TJ, that movie that you're talking about, it's called Green Street Hooligans. I do highly recommend it. It's about a kid from Harvard who goes and ends up living. He messed up at Harvard, so he ends up living in, I want to say London, and becomes I think Millwall. I think that was the team. But he becomes an ultra, a hooligan of one of these teams. And like the mayor was saying, they go looking for smoke. They go there to fight. They don't go there to watch the soccer game. And,
right.
It
gets ugly. It gets ugly fast.
I hate that stuff because it's bad. It's bad. Listen.
It is.
I don't. You don't want to take your wife and kids to. We see it with. I'm not trying to throw Philly fans under the bus. It's not just Philadelphia fans. It's also Cleveland Dog Pound fans and the Black Hole. But
the Raiders,
you don't want to see. You don't want to bring your kids and your wife to a situation where they may get stolen in the mouth. I don't find that. I don't find that to be a good time. And for the teams, because this is still a business, bringing the wife and kids means extra merchandise, extra concession stands money, extra, money for the team. So why would you want? There's passionate fans, and then there's, throwing
fanatics. Fanatics.
Yeah.
They're fanatics.
Yeah.
That's what they are. Fanatics.
That
could be me next week. That could be me next week because my brother got me and my father gave tickets to Eagles Giants game at MetLife. So that I
Good luck.
My father's a Giants fan. I'm the Eagles fan, but I'm the one that's still in my brain that almost hairpin trigger ready to fight somebody because win or lose, I've been wanting to fight for some reason recently, man. But
woosa.
Yeah. Take it back, Kung Fu Panda. Take it back, all right?
but I guess what the YouTube commenter had made it does kind of correlate because it does kind of look like that. Like this kid was a quote unquote hooligan going to go with the Milwaukee chapter or Minnesota chapter of said hooligans to go out there to quote unquote protect that was the hidden the mask. That was the smoke screen of it all to protect property,
It wasn't
Pro-
his. It wasn't his.
exactly. And the other well, we already have problems with policing, but to know that the police told these people not to do it, not to be out there doing that, but also kind of look to the side. And if they did what they did, they were on their side. I
It's a
mean,
double standard. It's a double
yeah,
standard because if they assaulted one of them, then it'd have been
mhm,
all hands on deck and everybody's ass is going to get beat. But if you
yeah,
do it outside the
beat,
right, beat, not shot and
not
killed,
shot.
but beat, right. But if it goes the other way, we'll just turn the other cheek type deal. So it was a double standard from the jump.
Yeah,
It was a double standard from the jump.
I'm
yeah.
still stuck. He brought his mama to a gunfight. Like
No, his
who-
mama brought him.
No,
His
but I'm
mama
saying
brought
though,
him.
but it was his suggestion. I'm saying like it was
Right.
his. I can't see mama being. I can't see mama being like, let's go to that riot and cheer him on. Like I just
Well, if
like
we all remember, if we all remember the mother from
Hey,
not even if
hey,
that was the same woman from Goonies, right? Who from Throw Mama from the Train?
yes.
If we remember, she was looking like that mama. That mama was with the smoke in Goonies.
yeah, she
Yeah.
was. Yeah, she was. But another turn, as they like to throw in family all the time. Where was his daddy? Right? Where was his daddy? Where was
I
his
didn't even thought
pops?
of that one.
Yeah, yeah. Where was his daddy in all of this? What was his pops doing? Why didn't he get a call? Nobody reached out to him.
Maybe he didn't talk him out of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe,
I don't
maybe
know.
he
Instead,
wanted.
he got.
Maybe he wanted to
Instead,
be like his daddy. Maybe his daddy got killed in one of them. I'm
I
going
don't
to
know.
avenge his death.
I just picture his mom to be like Ma Beagle from remember DuckTales, Ma Beagle? That's what I picture her to be.
Oh my god.
You know, I'm sorry. I'll be nice. I'll be serious.
No,
My bad.
no, we
Ma
got we
Beagle.
got to laugh about it because at the end of the
Oh
day we could
man.
be very upset. So I'd rather laugh about it than
That's how I get my stress out. I gotta clown Ma Beagle taking her little darling son to the gunfight. Yes,
Wow.
that's totally her.
This was Kyle Rittenhouse's mother, and
Yeah,
this is
with the ratchet in hand.
and this is probably how they looked in the car right here. The way I'm circling. You go get them nigger lovers.
Oh man.
Oh shit. But enough of that. We've debated on that long enough. To now we're up to the final topic because we've embraced this debate of wrestling and burning bridges. We've embraced this debate of this is white people's problem. But now it's time to go talk about the shit that we love the most, which is sports television. And the 4-letter network that shout outs to Seven the Panther who said y'all don't need no more because y'all got us. They were the ones who kind of made this quote unquote embrace debate television famous. I mean, they even said it by way of First Take. That used to be one of their slogans that they would throw
they
across the
plastered that
screen.
shit all over the place. Yeah, they plastered
Yes.
it all over the place.
Embrace the debate. Embrace debate. And let's keep it real. I mean, hate them or hate them, there's a lot of slick tongues that are masters at what they do. I respect the hell out of Stephen A. Smith because besides this of being on the debate television shows, the man has truly been a grinder at what he does. He's grinded over the years at what he does, from journalism to TV to where he can earn this 10 mil a year or whatever it is. To, whatever his contract is with ESPN. Like the man has put in the work to earn where he's at today. Then you got jokers like Water Pistol Pete, as they called him, Skip Bayless, who again, averaged 1.2 points a game in high school, but then had to qualify it to us by telling the story. But then they say numbers don't lie. You know what I'm saying? But he told us why that happened, and I respect that because we've all been shit on before. We've all had coaches that either didn't like us, not or I've told my little league baseball story on how I got skipped on All Stars, and I was the best player on the
I'm
team.
sure Skip's mouth got him in more trouble than not back in the
Oh, I'm
day.
that probably, probably, everybody loves Shannon Sharp because, like, to me, he's just become like hot take king, even though he does drop facts, but he's all right. Like, people love him like he's the greatest thing since. He's good, but it's a lot of hot takes. But as I thought about us talking about this, like I said to Ed before the start, you was the first person that came to mind because you expressed it in our group, the Star 5 podcast group. You've expressed it in the other groups here and there, how this type of television and this type of thinking is one that in some respects you can't stand. And I get it. Because I personally have fell off of some of it because I fell off a lot of it personally because a lot of these shows have become a recycling of the same points. As I mentioned to TJ talking about other shit before, that groupthink type of mentality where I love ESPN and I'll say it, I love ESPN, but when you watch every single show from First Take to PTI to Around the Horn to NFL Live to The Jump, or formerly known as The Jump, like, you end up hearing the same points of view just out of different mouths.
You know
To
who's
where
good
to
at
where
stirring
to
a
where
pot like that?
to where
Uh,
people
go
make
ahead.
it facts, to where people turn these things into facts because these reporters took what they seen and add on what they think. But then generally they're all saying the same thing. Like, it's one big group meeting of this is what we're gonna steer the people towards, and that's it. One thing that I mentioned especially in the group and on my page before I stepped away was, you realize on these TV stations, you never see the disclaimer of the views and opinions that are said on this show are those of the
Oh,
hosts and not
right.
specifically those of ESPN, Fox Sports, and otherwise. You never see that disclaimer, which kind of tells me they go with the method of these people opinions are facts because they get paid to watch these games and tell people what it is.
Until it gets them in hot water.
Until it gets them in hot water, then they got to apologize. Oh, we never told them to do that. We never told them to say that, yada, 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 yada. That's because they go off script, if you want to call it that.
Mm,
But
mm.
ultimately, where this really set in with me was, it's like, we can't even point the finger at television because this is the same shit that sports radio has been doing for decades before this type of television has been a thing. And let's remember that, because back in the day, before we started to get the 2 and 3 host radio shows now, which even they spew some of the same facts we hear on TV or opinions based off of numbers and facts that we hear on TV. It used to be one person
It's the
reporting
reason I
the
can't
fact.
listen to Mike Francesa right now.
Oh, I never been able to listen to him. I never been able to
And
listen to him. Boomer Carton is the worst. Yeah, the whole 101 point whatever, the fan, that station is terrible. It just sounds like whiny. It sounds like crybaby South Shore Staten Islanders that think they know everything. First time, long time here. That's what even ESPN, but even ESPN radio became the same thing. Like when what's the dude? Damn, what's the dude's show that I was on?
Michael
There
K.
was
I don't know.
I forgot. No, I was on Ryan Lumberg.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Cool as
Lumberg. Yeah, yeah.
Robin
Lumberg.
Lumberg.
Right.
Robin
Right.
Yeah.
cool as fuck. Not just because he let me on the show. that time he did. You know, I was up in their studios on the show this one morning. Cool as fuck. But when you listen to him, he was going. It sound. I'm gonna keep referring to it as on script. He talked more off script, where it became a conversation. And he invited more fans on to discuss things via conversation more than, nope, this is how it is. This is the, and next caller. Like that type of shit is gone. This is why a place like this is beautiful because, yo, we invite y'all all the time. Y'all want to come through, talk, all that shit? Cool. You know what I'm
Speak your
saying?
piece.
Come through and speak because we all have different points of view. We all don't fall under the same talking head bullshit. And that's
Jamal, this
but
man is
that
trash.
that's the problem. But I just wanted to say that it's we hate the television, but then we forget that this shit was radio. This shit is the same thing they did on radio, but sometimes by one person.
And that's the thing. Other media has expanded. You know, when I was coming up in journalism, you were either a newspaper guy or gal, a radio guy or gal, or a TV guy or gal. And those three barely intersected. As I progressed in my career and I got to Latin Post, where I was now running my own sports department, I couldn't be just newspaper guy. I had to create podcasts for the platform. I had to create YouTubes. There's YouTubes of me out there talking about wrestling. I have no business being in front of a camera, but I had to do it because I had to evolve to being everything now. Mind you, the pay never went up. You got to do more, but the pay never went up. but it's you know, when I first started in the business of journalism, it was very segmented. You know, you had your op-ed page and you had, you know, your sports talk radio. And I grew up in New York, so it was WFAN. When I was living in Boston, it was WEEI. I can't stand WEEI.
They're the worst.
So if you've been in Boston and heard them, you already know. It's to me the precursor of Barstool Radio and Barstool Podcasts and that whole thing. And in fact, they take a lot of the talent there. I digress. But you're right. You know, when people talk, you know, people talk about Howard Stern and what he did for radio, and his name belongs up there because he made talk radio so profitable.
Shock jock. Yeah, shock jock.
But at the same time as Howard Stern was doing this, so was Mike and the Mad Dog. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I did not listen to when I was landscaping in Bensonhurst with my crappy little, you know, Walkman. If those people are old enough to remember their Walkmans. Mowing lawns for people that didn't like me or disrespected me. I zoned out listening to Mike and the Mad Dog. And you know, it's interesting how I've evolved from like, I used to love Mike Francesa to I can't stand the guy now. You know, and it's just, he's old white guy to me. My perspectives have changed. My experience have changed from between now and then. But I think, you know, the three guys that made talk or debate profitable, the three entities, Howard Stern, because that led to like Opie and Anthony and the whole Shock Jock Radio, as you mentioned. Mike and the Mad Dog, because they proved that you can make money talking sports. And Rush Limbaugh, because he proved you can make money selling conservatism. Or politics, if you will, because conservative politics media tends to make more money than liberal. I don't know why. It just tends to be the case. Limbaugh made a lot of money doing what he does. But I think those three entities led to what we see as Embrace the Debate. Now, to your point earlier, I think where I disputed a little bit, I would also throw in shows like Crossfire on CNN. I think ESPN saw that business model, and it's like, wait a minute. You see over there where Tucker Carlson and James Carville are fighting with one another, and you see their ratings. We can do that here. And then all of a sudden, and they took that. It literally, First Take is the same exact formula as the old
exactly right.
Crossfire.
You're exactly right.
Sitting across from each other, you have to take a different. And so the thing I like about platforms like this, I don't want to embrace debate. You know what I want to embrace? I wish people would embrace conversation. That's what I wish people would embrace, conversation. I know it's not catchy. It's not a hashtag like embrace debate, but like you and I, all of us here can disagree about a variety of things, and it'll be all love afterwards, you know? And I'm sure with them, because to me, hashtag everything is wrestling. That's kayfabe to me. That's fake. That's not even real debate. I don't even know
Agreed.
if half the time. I don't even know if half the time they even agree with what they're saying. They want clout chasing, as the cool kids call it. They just want the
Yes.
clicks.
Yes.
It's just like
I
politics. What you just what you just said there is just like politics, red or blue, Republican, Democrat. As soon as they hang it up and call it a day in Congress, they are right down the block on U Street, yucking it up, drinking. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's the same shit.
You know what? Go ahead.
no, and once it gets personal, what happens? Stephen A. Smith because he's the biggest dog in the yard. You know, he makes the most money. He bullies the guy out, or not bullies. I'm not gonna put that on him. The man's busted his ass to make $12 million a year. It irks me that he makes more money than MMA fighters or more guaranteed money than NFL players, but that is the market. It is what it is. You know, I can be mad all I want, but it is what it is. He generates revenue. He generates revenue where he justifies that. But at the same time, it's like now I have him talking about MMA. Why is he talking about the Euro
Right.
Cup? Why is he
Right.
talking about
Boxing?
even boxing? I can.
He
You know what?
sucks at boxing. He sucks
I'll
at
e-
boxing, bro.
I'll
Here's
even
it.
let it. I'll even let it slide. I'll even let that one slide.
No.
Here's your
No.
here's your answer, Ed. Here's your answer though. Look back at yourself and what you said before.
True.
You got to do more with less, and the pay don't increase. We're paying you this much money. Dance, nigga, dance. Get over there and do this. And you know what? Props to him for even stepping up and taking it on, because you know what? It's a challenge. It's still a challenge. The man accepts the challenge and goes in head first. We can sit back as probably veteran analysts in certain things, but he's in the position, he's been afforded the position to do such a thing. And
Yeah,
so
but
it's
Dan, he doesn't do the homework. It's like he barely does. He gets handed a paper with all the hot points, and he discusses them, and then he gives his opinion, which is so far fucking left that you're like, what are you talking about? Like, it doesn't even, half the shit he says sometimes doesn't even make sense when he's outside of his sport, basketball and maybe some baseball. But when he comes into like Ed said, boxing and MMA, this guy's he's in deep water, and he's just waiting around waiting for somebody to bail him out to pick him up. It's just like, it's crazy the shit he says sometimes.
but
I
at 10 $12 million a year, if they
Yeah.
need you to do the job, do it. Even if all you know is the big catchphrases. He's big time. He's a big time playmaker. He's this, he's that, the bad man. Hey, he plays his role. He knows what he knows and plays his role. I don't think he's ever went out there and called himself an expert on any of that other than basketball. Box office, yes. He's box office is another one of his big ones. But that's okay. To me, like, that's okay. Sometimes you need a sideshow in them pieces. It's like when they bring up, it's like here, the one thing I could compare that to. Bring up popular rapper actor A here. They don't know shit on shit sometimes. They know they're one team and this and that and the third. They got an album coming out, but yet they bring them up. Why? Because they have a following. They are
It's part of the
notable.
machine. It's a part of the
It's a
machine.
part of the machine. Would they bring people up like us who have honest opinions and analysis from what we watch? No. I've made that point on my thing several times over. Yo, I need to get a person like, we need to get me up there because they're making points that I made on the podcast 3 or 4 shows ago. But ain't nobody listening to us. And I can remember one specific. Sarah tagged Rob. Shout outs to Rob Swift, who's doing big things with ESPN, College Game Day, and all that. But he said, ain't no shot. If you black and you ain't an ex-player, you ain't getting on there.
Right.
Or if you ain't an ex-journal, if you're a journal, you ain't getting on there. And I'm not throwing shade. He spoke the truth. He just spoke the honest truth.
Even if you're a journalist, all right, like, who are they gonna take? Little old me, nobody, or JJ Barea? Even though he was the 15th man or whatever on the bench, he's better looking than me, probably. Well, actually, I've met him. I know he's better looking than me. He's better looking than me. He's articulate. I may be a little bit smarter, I feel like, but he's articulate enough where he can get his points across. So, who would you rather have on TV, the ex-jock or the nerd that went to school for this stuff, that maybe can ponder about it a little bit more outside of the script?
But
so
that's the I just want to make the point. I want to answer his question, and then you could go ahead, TJ. But that's where I agree with the ex-athlete being on these shows, because the ex-athlete has that experience, has that inside knowledge of what a locker room looks like, what meeting rooms look like. They were there. They are going to tell it better than the person who just made their living sitting on the sidelines saying, I seen that. I seen that too. The athlete was there.
But you need balance. But you need balance. I'm sorry to interrupt. You do need balance from that outsider of the bubble. The term dumb jock exists for a reason.
Facts.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard that name. He gets props for me too, because some people might not like the takes he makes, but sometimes it's just a hard truth that you might not want to understand, or you might not want to hear from him.
When I see Kendrick Perkins is trying to get a Stephen A. payday and will say anything to get that Stephen A. payday. I ain't listen. Yeah. I ain't mad at him. I ain't mad at Stephen A. Smith for the money he makes. Hell, I'd be a company man for $12 million. I'd be wearing Mickey Mouse ears right now, a Goofy shirt, a Marvel. I'm wearing Marvel now, so hire me now. You know what I'm saying?
Respect the t-shirt. Respect the t-shirt. Respect the t-shirt.
But at 12 mil, I would be a company man too. I would be, if Joe Rogan's a company man for UFC, because he's getting paid a lot of money by UFC to be and Daniel Cormier is accused of being and I get it. When you're making, you gotta protect your chickens, as Marshawn Lynch said. I get that. But I think where it becomes bad is when it's like there's embrace debate and then there's embrace stupidity. And there's a lot of people just saying dumb shit to get clicks.
That's the part.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem with me. I said this in 2014. I think it was 2014. I was on a panel for a Sports Business Journal, not trying to fluff my head up or whatever, but I was on a fan perspective. And I said back then, the problem with this is that people are going to confuse this with journalism instead of opinion. Now, if you have an opinion that LeBron sucks and doesn't belong in the top 75 or the NBA 75, if your mind's already made up, you're going to gravitate towards pundits. And I don't call them journalists, they're pundits, because it's the op-ed.
Very good word. Very good word.
They're going to gravitate to the pundits that are of their bubble view, of their vision of things. And we see it not just in sports. I see that in politics.
Well, I was going to say the perfect way, and we're going to throw it to TJ's points. You want to know the perfect way we see exactly what you just said there? When they want to say the topic is, I'll just take my Eagles. Jalen Hurts has the most rushing yards as a quarterback, but threw 30 interceptions this season. The highlight clips they'll show is him running touchdowns, but then every single bad passing play possible just to drive their point home, TJ.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. My thing is, I want to get your two perspectives. So how do you feel about the Lebertards, the Colin Cowherds? Because those dudes are like kind of outside the box. And even like Bomani Jones or El Amin Hassan, you know what I'm saying? Like
Lebertard, Cowturd. I say Cowturd because
you gotta respect him a little bit.
Coward. I just don't like Fox Sports anything. I just don't like Fox Sports anything. But his takes sometimes be Skip Bayless-esque, beyond left field. That is just like, but I give it up for the people who think outside of the box, because that's what I do. But his thinking outside of the box
is weird. It's weird.
It's weird, and it feels like right-wing weird. Even when he was on ESPN, where he was careful. Lebertard's level of thinking That's the man to me, and Annie. That's the man right there. Dan
Mhm.
Levitard is the part because of. It's not that he's just injecting his opinion. He'll actually put in research with fact, but then also is not against saying "fuck you" to the system, the same system that was paying him.
No, he speaks truth to power.
Mm-hmm.
He speaks
You know what I'm
truth to power.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
And going.
it was more entertaining from him too. That's the difference. Is his he wasn't giving the same when he was on ESPN. He wasn't giving the same talking points as everybody else. It was
No,
different.
Levitard reminded me of me when my bridge burning days, in that he got off on that, on telling truth to power, at
yes,
the risk of his own paycheck.
yep,
I like the guys that think outside the box to a degree. It depends what that box is. I think Colin Coward, with him, it's a matter of like, I think he's a pseudo sociologist. He tries to make this about bigger issues, and to his credit, I think we need more of that in sports, whether it's right wing or left wing, whatever. But I think, to me, when my beef with him was when he got racial with saying the comments he made on ESPN about the Dominican players. Well, of course, baseball is an easy sport. Why Dominicans can play it? Like that to me was like, and then he tried
yeah.
to use some pretend sociological point to make his point, and that's kind of where I have an issue. It's he does these intellectual gymnastics that are above his pay grade, that are more in Bomani Jones' pay grade, to be honest.
Yes,
Yes,
And
yes.
yes.
Not
I'll tell
because
you
we
who,
met Bomani, but Bomani is one of the best out
yo,
there.
Bobani used to teach
Yeah,
like
yeah.
economics at like UNC, if I'm not mistaken. Like that's a smart dude. But I think a worse example of at least Colin Coward, there's a degree of he's more palatable, I think, to a more centrist audience. Then there's someone like Travis Clay, who's also on Fox Sports, where he's very political. He wants to be Breitbart of sports. He wants to be he is on Fox News, but he wants to be Fox News of sports. And
Just like the
so
dude, what's the guy's name? Will, I
Will
can't think.
Kane.
Will Kane, well, he
Yes.
let
Oh
he
my
well,
God.
but he came from CNN politics, being the right wing guy on shows like Crossfire, to being the right wing guy for Stephen A. Smith. Now back to his more natural habitat, which is Fox News. So now, and he's the guy now that in Fox News they used to talk about sports as well as the Barstool guys, because Tucker Carlson loves the Barstool guys. And so,
Of course.
that's kind of the thing. I'm okay with if I'm okay with embracing debate if we're having a conversation like this. Where I don't like embracing is stupidity, like Barstool, like a Clay Travis, like
Like the
Will
person
Kane's
that
actually
like the
Will
person I
Kane's
want to
actually a
fight.
smart dude. I just don't agree with him. Yeah, like the person you want to fight.
Like I you know what? We used to clown Will Kane all the time on the show, but I agree with that. Smart guy. He didn't need to be in sports. Part
No,
because
He
he's
knows
a
where his
Cowboys
bread is.
fan.
He knows where his bread is buttered, though. He knows his
yeah,
audience.
But
and
then
and,
there's
no,
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, and to his credit, he knew when to step away from the Disney. He pimped Disney. He pimped the Mickey Mouse, and
Yeah,
it's very
yeah. He
rare that
got
you
his
could
name
do
out
that.
there. He got his name out there on a national stage.
And he's
For
in a
real.
better situation, more comfortable situation at Fox News than he is, still doing sports and still talking about sociological aspects of sports. But he gets to do it in his pond, in his natural habitat, as opposed
Yeah,
to ESPN.
yeah.
But then, like I mentioned, you got the people, like I said, the fat man that I still want this boxing match with. You got the person who it's like Marcellus Wiley is a guy who his turn like surprised me
Yeah,
in a way. His
yeah. But
turn
I
surprised me
think
in a
that's
way.
because the network he was on, though, because he's on Fox now too, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then you got the Nick Wright, who's just one of the worst. What's his name? I think Emmanuel Acho changed up some too. No, not Acho. Is it the cat who he was a linebacker in the league? He's on the NFL, but he does a lot of
Oh
college.
yes, yes. I know who you're
Is
talking
it
about.
Emmanuel Acho or
I forgot
somebody
his
else?
name.
It might
No,
be
I
him.
think
But it was a black
might
dude
be
who was
him.
on ESPN, who's now with the Fox Sports team, who kind of turned like Marcellus Wiley, which it feels like it's like the more staunch black Republican side. But it's not that. It's like, again, I like Ed said, I don't listen to Fox anymore because it's just as Fox. But that other side, like, you still need it to be fair. You still need that other side of opinion to be fair to a point, but not from the fat man that, like I said, I'm ready to box, because his is just blatant. Like, he just comes out with left field shit that is just like, fuck you, I'm saying
Jason
this, and this is
Jason
shitlock. Yes.
Shitlock.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jason.
But
For the
it
people
goes-
who don't know what we're talking about, is Jason
and
Whitlock.
No, shitlock.
I
You said
actually
it right.
Whitlock.
I gotta, because I want to fight him too. Although he got an easy 200 pounds over me, like he would crush me. I'm not even gonna
He
lie.
can't catch you. He can't catch you, Ed. He can't catch you. He's got good three swings in him.
Man,
He's got a good three swings in
I
him.
can
and
get
that's
on my.
it.
If you put me in a cage
gotta go
or
for the
a ring with
knees.
him,
You got to go for the knees, bro.
That
Go for the
that
knees.
bicycle.
He's
my
he's
knees
out of
ain't the
shape.
same, man.
His
You gotta-
knees
you
ain't
gotta-
the same either.
Hold on. You
But
gotta
hold up,
do
my-
him
my-
like King Hippo. You gotta do him like
Yes.
King Hippo. Once he puts up the hit him in the stomach, boom, hit them
But-
10.
but-
You can't stop
but-
punching once you get him in the stomach, and then he falls.
But this is. But to your point, this is why I stopped watching not just Fox. I only watch ESPN and Fox now, Fox Sports, for live programming, meaning the live sporting events, whether it's
Yes.
Champions League
Yes.
or whether it's NFL. I can't, because of guys like Whitlock, I can't watch the shoulder programming, as they call it in the industry. I just can't.
Mhm.
I
Right.
just, one, it's repetitive, like you said earlier, and two, it's just like, I'm hearing dummy take. I want to listen to stuff that's gonna make me feel smarter, or I learn something, or entertain. Any of those three.
That's where you get the
Guys-
Lebertards and the Bomani Joneses. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
if I feel like I learned something, or I got entertained, or intellectually tickled, if you will, for lack of a better word, I can jive with that kind of embrace debate. But when we're talking about, I saw Stephen A. Smith complaining about the Nets. The Nets are in first place. One, you're a Knicks fan, so say that off jump. You hate the Nets. Two, like, why are you trying to create problems where none exist? Oh, Kyrie isn't even in the equation. Kyrie Irving betrayed Kevin Durant.
He's living rent free in Stephen A's head for sure.
And so
For sure.
I looked it up. I looked it up because my friends text me stuff. I don't even like the clicks, because clicks equal money for these guys. So I don't even like clicking on stuff. So my friends are sending me this, and I'm like, well, let me look it up. What happened? Okay, they lost to the Warriors. Okay, that happens. Okay, And then I look at the standings. I'm like, yo, they're in first place. So he's just trying to create a drama that doesn't exist. And again, I go back to the model of crossfire of CNN and MSNBC and Fox. They create these culture war dramas that don't exist. Like transgender people in the bathroom, that only affects 1% of the population. But if you look at Fox News, there was that 1 year, where that was the big news. It's like, transgender people in the bathroom. And however you feel about that issue, it's just, we live in New York City, so we're used to LGBT culture all over the place. But like,
we used to people being in the bathroom regardless if it was right or wrong anyway.
Yeah. But if you live in Fayetteville, you're thinking, oh my God, it's Sodom and Gomorrah, end of the world, and it's like, and so it's sports is taking the same formula of creating drama that doesn't exist. And I think that's my issue with that.
It's like when you could tell it's a slow news day when it's like KD went 12 for 15. Is he having an off day? Is he having an off week? Like, what are you talking about?
He should have shot 100%. That's what he's saying. I mean, I don't get, like you said, Ed, I don't get why people get the like you said, it affects 1% of the population with the transgender thing, people being in bathrooms. Listen, I took the Staten Island ferry one time. I saw somebody getting their taxes done in the bathroom. Okay, so we've seen crazy shit in the bathroom before, but
I hope it wasn't the new mayor because I heard a homeless guy does his tax. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop because I need to get a job. I may have. I'm gonna stop. I like him. I'm gonna stop. I need to get a job. So
I don't. That's
I have to. I cannot burn bridges. It all goes full circle.
Bill de Blasio 2.0, in my opinion.
I mean, the whole topic of debate is two people with differing views, either agreeing or respectfully disagreeing, and making valid points for their arguments or for their statements. But that has gotten so blown out of proportion on a level above even the basic premise of what a debate is now, that it, like you said, opinions are made facts and people run with that shit, and it's like the algorithms, when you go search for the shit, is going to lean right into what you're looking for. So that just brings a ton of more shit on top of solidifying your opinion as fact, and that's where it just goes completely off the rails at, and that's the problem.
And again, one of these new terms that I hate, my truth. Yo, if my truth is the sky is green, that don't make the sky green. You know, my truth, nah, man. Like, you want to speak your side of the story, yes, but and again, it's I love embrace conversations. Embrace debate has been poisoned by the Stephen A. Smiths, by the Tucker Carlsons, by the Hannitys, because these are entities that are making a lot of money off of blowing hot air and out of just creating drama where none exists and triggering people. That's one term I do like. That is a thing, triggering people.
That it is. And man, listen, my truth is funny to say that because my truth for decades has been under this gut. I got a 6-pack, which I did, but it was under a layer of fat.
Hey,
a few layers of fat.
Dan, you're a big man. You're a big man who identifies as skinny.
Hey, we could do that nowadays. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't attack my fake. Don't attack my pronouns.
Guys, I gotta work eventually. I can't. I gotta work.
Don't attack my pronouns. I'm 150 pounds. You can't tell me otherwise. You can't tell me otherwise. But what I can tell y'all otherwise is that this was done. This is dope. I needed this because fuck many of y'all out there. I'm still ready to fight most of y'all. Like, that's just where the heel turn is imminent, people. The heel turn is imminent.
Real talk, yoga. I laugh all you want. I highly recommend yoga. I'm telling you.
I want to try that
for
DDP.
My anger issues. Yeah, try that DDP yoga. I'm not even like, I used to, if 18-year-old Ed knew that 45-year-old Ed is advocating yoga, there'd be a hate crime going on right now. but 45-year-old Ed will take 18-year-old Ed aside and be like, my dude, this is good for you. You're gonna
this ain't it. This ain't it, youngin. This ain't
it. I wish I knew about yoga when I was 18. Jesus, I'd avoided so much. But yes, yoga. My advice is Wusa. Yoga.
The best advertisement for yoga was this right here. They need to run with that.
Well, you know what to do, Ed. We're done.
Sure. I want to shout out my dude Fuzz, my partner in crime on the Ed Fuzz Freak Show. You can sporadically find us because we're idiots on Facebook, on our Facebook page. Also, I want to put over, as they say in wrestling, I want to put over his music. Go Fuzz Biscuits, Bar Rescue. If you're into wrestling and hip hop, I think you'll get a kick out of it. He's actually pretty good, but I'm biased. Action Bronson before Action Bronson was a thing. So, but
nice.
Thank you guys for having me on the show. I'm glad I was able to make you smile, Dan.
Yeah, he's run longer than hit. He's run longer than Hit Row, TJ. Go ahead, TJ.
Before we get out of here, shout out to Don, the young phenom, for the Uno tournament champion that we just had it in the World Uno Domination Tournament. Shout out to the young man. taking the title as El Gran Campeón of the Uno Domination Tournament. Shout out to Monk for washing them up and letting them know who the real champ is at the end of the day.
Did he win? Did he smoke?
Monk,
Yeah.
Monk smoked him. Smoked him like that brisket you got down there, buddy.
Good to know that matchup went on, but that's family though, so they could have played that anytime.
Yeah. Also, peep the barcodes above and below to get to come on the podcast, Starting Five podcast page, as well as the Starting Five podcast website for all your merch. Hit us up anytime you want to get on the show. Great show today, fellas. Ed from long distance from 3. Thanks for dialing in, brother. Appreciate you having you on, man.
Appreciate it.
Love the t-shirt, by the way. Love
Thank
the
you.
t-shirt. Just saw the movie the other day. It was really good. I liked it.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, it was good. Shout out to everybody participating in the comments. Shout out to everybody in the group. Mayor, thanks for coming on and making this a dope show. Love to see you on here. Can't wait for next week. And enjoy your reprieve from the social media. And like my brother Ed said, woosah, brother. Woosah next week, Sunday, bro. Take like some CBDs. Take some CBDs before you go to that Philly Giants game, man.
It's just a hiatus from Facebook. I'm still on TikTok, which you can find in the QR code there. It's still on the Instagram that you can find in the QR code there. Scan that. That's to our link tree, as TJ mentioned. That brings you to everywhere Starting Five related. But yeah, fuck Facebook for right now, man. It's not as bad as fuck Twitter, but fuck Facebook. I think our Twitter's on there too.
Dan, so you're taking a menopause? You're taking a menopause?
Hey, yo. I guess I am.
Gotta get a job, guys.
I guess I am having menopause. I guess I am. Holy shit. I ain't even think about it like that. I might have to go sign back in just to say I'm taking a menopause one time. Holy shit. But that's it. That was the perfect way to end it. Menopause to end the rest of this episode. Peace. We'll see y'all next week.
Hashtag disabled planets.
We'll see y'all. We'll try to see y'all if we can on a different day next week, because I mentioned 1
You'll be at
o'clock
the game.
is the Eagles Giants game, and
All right.
So peace
Out, y'all.